This is Launching Your Daughter podcast, and I'm your host, Nicole Burgess, licensed marriage and family therapist. The information shared in this podcast is not a substitute for seeking help from a licensed mental health professional. Now, here is today's episode. Episode 16. Welcome. Today's guest is Amanda Campbell, a licensed mental health counselor and life coach here in Indianapolis, Indiana. She works with creating connection with distant couples and creating balance for busy moms. Today, we're going to focus on her work with helping busy moms create a more organized life for themselves and their families. I also wanted to let you know I needed to mark the episode as explicit due to one swear word in the title of what Amanda is offering at the end of the show. There is no other swearing or cussing, but I wanted to make sure you were aware that it's not throughout the episode. Now here is today's episode. So welcome, Amanda.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Could you tell our audience just a little bit about the difference between therapy and coaching? Because I know we're going to focus more today on the coaching, but what the difference is between the two?
Well, I think of counseling as helping people who are struggling in their everyday functioning. Maybe they have a diagnosis of depression or anxiety, and the coaching is for people who are doing pretty well on average, but they want to take their life to the next level, or maybe they're struggling to manage everything they have going on, and coaching gets them to that happier, healthier version of themselves.
Awesome. Thank you. That's very helpful. Can you tell us, how do parents or moms go about finding a coach?
Well, they can, I think, look on the internet and do a search for, for my target clients are busy moms. So I think it's helping them find that life balance. So they could do an internet search for me, Busy Moms Life Coach. That would be one way.
Okay, great. Because I know there's so many different choices out there when people Google stuff, and what you're talking about is trying to get it really specific for what it is they're looking for and needing, and then they can make phone calls to see if you're the best match, that sort of thing. Could you tell the audience a little bit about what it is that you do coaching-wise regarding busy moms? What do you do?
Well, I work with the busy moms who are struggling to kind of manage everything they have going on in their life. So I think there are some women out there or parents out there who like the busy life. They have their kids in a lot of activities. They work full time, or maybe they stay at home and they have several kids that are really active and they're doing a lot of things, but they feel overwhelmed. So the coaching piece focuses on identifying those goals for what they want their happier, healthier life to look like. So maybe they're wanting to exercise more or eat better or just be able to get better organized. So we set the right goals, those specific, measurable, positive, realistic to their life goals. We focus on personal organization, so they get a system for them that works for their life. Then we also do like a positive perspective piece that has some cognitive behavioral therapy skill stuff in it. And then if they want to add on and extend the coaching time, we can do parenting and also relationship, like marital stuff.
Cool. You know what I was thinking of as you were talking about helping them with the organization piece? I'm guessing that once either the moms or the dads start to kind of organize the family life a little more and they're not feeling quite so overwhelmed, that automatically then kind of goes down to some of their teenagers, if they've got teen girls in the house, because this is what this is really focused on, is that it can also show them how to help kind of manage the school load. If there's extracurricular activities, things like that, it could be helpful for them as well.
Yeah, I encourage a lot of my moms, I think, as you've talked about before, to do a family meeting and include those teenagers and kids that can, play a role in that. And yeah, the organization is for the family, not just the mom. So it's, how is this going to work for your family and their lifestyle?
Excellent. What do you hear as some of the, common roadblocks or things that stop your moms from coming in to get some coaching and to come in and try and help with the organization piece? What are some of the, common fears or roadblocks that maybe you have encountered, and how you help them kind of work through that?
I think I find with a lot of moms that there is this expectation that they have to do everything, that they have to do it all. My kids have to be in several activities, and I have to, they have to be in the several activities, and they have to always be going places and doing things, and have, the perfect meal plan and all these things. So I think that's the biggest roadblock, is they have these expectations of what they should be doing. And I think the first thing that I do in the coaching is helping them figure out, what do they want to do? What's going to work? If you don't want if you don't want to be busy every weeknight with your kids doing all these things from, Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts or piano lessons or whatever, then you don't have to. And so I think that's one of the roadblocks, is those expectations that we have to always be doing all these awesome things all the time. And you don't necessarily have to if you don't want to.
Well, and I love that you bring that into the coaching part, because I know some of the past podcasts that I've been doing and counselors that I've been talking to, we've talked a lot about perfectionism and how that is so huge now with teen girls and everything, and with just moms as well, and sometimes even the dads, that it's all about managing those expectations of, I've got to be all and do all, and it's like, yeah, you can't. You just absolutely can't. So part of what you're helping them with then is really teaching them, here's some skills to help get that organized, to help lay that out so they don't feel quite so overwhelmed. And once they get those systems in place, then it also not only helps them, but the family as well, because then everybody can participate and go for it. I love it. Yeah. I love it.
Everybody's more relaxed, I think, and they know what the expectations are, and it's what they want to do. The first piece with the goals is, the life is it realistic for your life? Is it realistic expectations of what your goal is going to be? If you want to be healthier, you think, I got to work out for an hour every day. Ooh, that's not realistic to a lot of schedules, and also not even really necessary for a lot of fitness goals. So from the beginning, gets those, realistic, easy, gonna work for you type of expectations.
I love it. I hear quite often regarding the exercise piece, I've got to do X, Y, and Z. I'm like, you know what? If you park further away, that helps. If you go up and down stairs, that helps. It's all part of it. Yeah. It's not having to do it this exact way every single time. Yeah. Love it. I love it. So you've already kind of talked a little bit about some of the benefits regarding the organization of how it can help them out. What are some of the other benefits that by doing coaching and helping them with that organizations do the moms or the dads or parents in general get from that?
Well, the goal of the organization piece in the coaching is that they come out of that with a system, a personal organization system. So whatever their goals are, if it is a fitness goal, it's how are you going to get organized around adding that to your life. So if we set these goals, that is something else we're adding. So we need to make sure that we have the time and the space in our life to do that, because goals take work and change takes work. So it's how are you going to fit it in? So they come out with not just room in their lives to make it happen, but also the time management, the organization tools, and how they're going to make that happen in their life on a daily, weekly basis. So it's that system. If your goal is to eat better, well, when are you going to meal plan? How are you going to meal plan? What tools do you need to help you create a better meal plan? So it's having this total system work, that they can establish.
And I love that. I'm sitting there staring at you because we're live here doing this. And I'm looking at her going, that's awesome. Because for the teen girls that are going off to college or moving out of the house, them already seeing mom and dad doing this, or their parents creating that organization and meal planning, is they can do the exact same thing with their college schedule or living on their own and going, I've got to work and I've got to do this. They've already got the tools in place so that they don't feel overwhelmed as they do these skills too. So, I love it. So would you tell everybody a little more about kind of the organization piece in and of itself, the specific things that you do or you offer?
Well, so in the coaching packages that I offer, we spend 2 weeks on organization. So once we've identified what their goal is, if it's, which of course we're getting specific, it's not just, to be happier or find balance. We're identifying a specific goal, and then the organization is all centered around that. So if it's, a college student or a high school girl, and she's wanting to get ready to go off to college, it's figuring out what all does that involve? Kind of this is not an original term of mine, but doing a brain dump. So it's everything that's involved in what that goal is going to be. So, getting off to college and moving in. So dumping out of your brain every little bitty task that you can think of, and then breaking those down into 10 or 15-minute increments. So, a task that might take an hour, breaking that down even more so that they're manageable. So when you do have an hour, you can maybe do 2 or 3 or 4 of those little tasks, because I think we often find that they take longer than we anticipate. Yes. So we want to get them as small as possible. So even if it's just, researching scholarships, or sitting down and filling out the applications, or, researching degree programs that you want to go to, whatever it is, or figuring out what all do I need to buy for my dorm room. It's making that list. And there are tons of apps out there for to-do list making. I like Wunderlist and Evernote. Those are my favorites. But you can take a few minutes to kind of do that. And then the organization part is also figuring out what are going to be your daily dues, daily and weekly dues for your goals. And then that's what the organization system focuses on. When am I going to do these? How am I going to do these? What do I need to do to accomplish these more efficiently, like with the apps or something? Are you a paper and pencil kind of person? Do you like the big wall calendar? Are you more the digital techie where you want the apps and you do it all on your smartphone? I like a mix personally. So I do like my meal planning on paper, but my grocery list is on my phone, an app on my phone. So it's working with them to figure out what system, what style of organization works best. I also do an organization quiz where we kind of figure out where they're kind of lacking. Is it time management? They're always kind of running late to things. Is, their papers everywhere and they're kind of chaotic in keeping track of stuff. And so we kind of look at that to see where their strengths and weaknesses are. And then, figuring out, okay, so here are your goals and what are those daily and weekly dues going to look like and how are you going to accomplish them, and figuring out that system. It's sometimes trial and error. I think I've been through, I don't know how many to-do list apps and organization tools. So it's figuring out what's really going to be the most effective for them.
Well, I think that also goes back to kind of managing sometimes those expectations again, that just because you started out one way, it's like, oh, I can't ever change it. And it's like, oh, but you can, especially whether it's regarding applications or you're finding doing the paper and pencil isn't working as much as it used to, whatever that may be. It's okay to try something and then tweak it a little bit to see if that works a little better and go back. And maybe it's worked for a year and now all of a sudden you got to go back and change it again because something else in the family life has changed. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, and I think you mentioned a good point. Life changes, so we have to be able to evolve with that. And I think it's creating a system that is going to be able to evolve as life does. Like for the teen girls, life at home is going to be very different when they go off to school or start a job. So it's saying, okay, I can change my system or I can change my tools. And that's not necessarily, a sign of any kind of failure or weakness. I think it's just being adaptable. And that's the most important thing. I know just in our life, there's, the organization of the summer, and then there's organization when school starts. And then it seems to get thrown out of whack again around the holidays in the winter. And then spring when we're going back outside and we're getting more active. So I feel like I'm kind of constantly changing how I do things. And it's just always keeping that idea in the back of your mind that it's not going to be this way forever. And I'm going to need to tweak it. And change is good and it's okay. And so, it's just being open-minded and flexible because it needs to work for your lifestyle. We don't want to force those systems, and it's all self-created, so there's no right or wrong. You make it how you want, and that's kind of why I take those 2 weeks in the package to make sure that they're really figuring it out.
Yeah, and I love it too. If we try and, as you were saying earlier, trying to force something that goes back, it just reinforces feeling overwhelmed and stressed out. And the whole goal is to reduce that. So not keep perpetuating it. Yeah, absolutely. So I want to go back just a little bit. We were talking, you had mentioned before, kind of that happier, healthier lifestyle, or how to kind of create that. So along with the organization piece of it, you do coaching on that as well. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think it's hard for women, whether you're a teenager or you're a mom, to be able to have a genuine understanding of what we want our life to look like. I think whether it's what we see on TV or in magazines or social media, the highlight reel on Facebook where everybody's posting their awesome vacation and photos and other activities that they're doing and all this stuff in their busy lifestyle. And we think, oh, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And I don't think that that's the case. I don't think it has to be that way. And that's part of what's so overwhelming, I think, for women and girls, is that we think that there's this standard that we're supposed to meet. And that standard is really high, I think, for women. You have to be the perfect mom, and you have to, if you're working, you have to be the perfect employee or boss. And then at home, like, your house has to look a perfect way, a certain, keeping up with the Joneses kind of mentality. And that's, I think, the biggest piece, especially, what I focus on in the positive perspective part of the coaching package, is that there are, standards that we think we have to meet. And that's part of what creates that overwhelming feeling. I know you work with clients on how we think about something is how we're going to feel and what we're going to do. So if we can change that thinking that I have to be Superwoman and do all of these things, and then the resulting feeling is going to eventually be that burnout and that anxiety and that worry. What about this? What about that? Well, did I do this right? And did I do that right? And, how am I going to get this all accomplished? I think also when we look at things on Pinterest, like, that's where I go for a lot of stuff. So, and it's helpful, and I love Pinterest, but at the same time, it perpetuates that highlight reel. And so I'm not saying don't ever look at those things, but I think it's having this filter of what's going to work for me. I know one that was hard for me at first in my own, creating my own happier, healthier self, is the belief that I had to have these big birthday parties for my kids, that it had to be annually this big blowout bash where it was just perfect and it was themed and we had to have the napkins and the cards and everything. And that was really overwhelming and expensive. Yeah. And, I love my husband, but he was like, why? Why are we doing all that? Do we really have to do that? And I would get really frustrated because I'm like, hey, this is what we're supposed to do. And then I got to think about it. I'm like, that doesn't work with our lifestyle. And that doesn't work with what I want to do. And when I realized this, they were little, like 3 and 1. And so I just thought, they're not even going to remember this. And half the time I'd forget to take pictures anyway, so we wouldn't even have a recording of it. So, we kind of figured out, well, what's going to work for us and what do we want to do? And that has made that time of year, because their birthdays are a month apart, that has made that time of year a lot easier and cheaper, and it just is so much better. So I think, a big piece of the coaching and for women is figuring out, what do I want to do? Do I want to work full time and the kids have to go to daycare and I want to cook healthy meals and do all this stuff? Or, can I figure out a way that it's going to work? Can we work together as a family to figure out what's going to be the best for us? Not what our neighbors doing or our friends are doing or other people at church are doing. It's what's going to make us feel good about life and not dread getting up in the morning or dread coming home from work or dread the whole time. It's, really taking ownership of that and feeling okay about it.
Well, I really like, too, what you're emphasizing is one, they have to stay connected. We women, especially, in the mom roles or wife role, you can get into whatever role and get stuck like that's all of me. And it's not. That's a piece of you. And it's okay to continue to check back in with yourself of like, what is it I'm needing or wanting in this moment? And how can I then communicate that with my family or my partner So that it's a team effort. It's not just all on the mom or all on the wife or anything like that. Or if it's just dads, if they're staying home and it's not just all on them either. Yeah, I love that reconnecting and then exploring what works. What do I need? Yeah. Well, I'm curious. Do you have any books or piece of advice before we talk about how people can find you in your practice? Is there anything that you sometimes give the busy moms, something that kind of helps them maybe in between the coaching sessions or helps them just kind of in life in general that you share with them?
Well, for women, as I know, you work with them on these things too, is just that shame factor or that I'm not good enough factor. So I don't think I can recommend Brené Brown stuff enough. So that's one. I thought about stockpiling on her books and just handing them out, but Gifts of Imperfection. So that's usually where I have people start. So I love that. And just because I feel like that will help us, or, it's helped me kind of realize that I'm good enough as I am. And because it's not so easy to change some of those fundamental things that we're just born with. So that acceptance and saying, okay, because there is that voice in our heads that says, no, you can't, you're not good enough to do that. No, that's not going to work. No, what's everybody going to say? So I think that helps shut that voice off. So that's definitely one. A parenting resource that I always recommend is the Parenting with Love and Logic. Yeah. That one has helped immensely in my own parenting path. I think it's a good idea to have a lot of tools, but that's probably, if I could only have one, that would be the one. But yeah, those are the main ones I think that I recommend the most.
And I've got those on my resource page as well, because I agree. Those are Brené's book and then also the Parenting with Love and Logic. Those are really good books. So can you tell our audience how they can find you or get a hold of you? And I also know you've got something that is coming up that you're getting ready to release in September. So could you tell them a little bit about what that is?
Yeah. So in mid-September, I have Becoming Superwoman, How to Have It All Without Losing Your Shit. Because I think it's very easy for us to feel so overwhelmed and feel like we're just going to lose it at any minute the next time we hear mommy, mommy, mommy or something else. So that's the coaching package. That's 6 weeks. It has those parts that I've mentioned, the goal setting, the organization, and the positive perspective. So you can sign up for that starting, I think, towards the end of this month, August. I'm not exactly sure when I'm going to close that open enrollment. But yeah, you can find out more about that and me at busymomslifecoach.com. There's a newsletter you can sign up for and contact form. I write a blog weekly, and part of that I do Ask Amanda, which is kind of like a Dear Abby advice thing where it's totally anonymous and you can submit in a question in the contact form. And I put those out once or twice a month, that series. I think last one was when your husband's annoying you, how to or your partner's annoying you, how to let them know without biting their head off and try to get the change in the behavior that you want to see. Another one was about a monster mother-in-law and how to handle that. So I think that one got a lot of clicks. It seems like maybe a lot of people have that problem. But yeah, if they just go to the website, they can learn more.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. It was so great to have you here today. And I'll have all of her information in the show notes. So you can go back and look at kind of the areas that we discussed, but also how to get a hold of Amanda. Thank you again for being the guest today, Amanda.
Yeah, this was fun.
If you like this episode, I invite you to subscribe on iTunes to receive the weekly updates. And it helps raise the ranking of it for others who may not have access to mental health services or support in their community. Thank you for listening to Launching Your Daughter with Nicole Burgess, licensed marriage and family therapist. For more information or to stay up to date, go to launchingyourdaughter.com. You can sign up for my email list or join my Facebook group. Thank you.